souls, young souls, and all my damn souls in between. Welcome back to another week of Old Soul in the Young World with your host, Jesse Elliott. Hey, hey, what up, guys? We back on episode 43 with somebody very special on the show today. We got an amazing person out here, a creative soul, somebody who's doing their own thing, making their own lane, a model, somebody who has their own talk show, podcast, TV show popping off in the North Shore area. Shout out Lynn, Mass. You know, and I just want to shout out Ferns, Scoop With Ferns, Ferns Francois. Welcome to Old Soul Young World. How
Happy
you feeling?
to be here. Oh,
Hey.
I feel amazing. Amazing. The energy is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Of course, we appreciate you being here.
That's fun.
You know, and the reason I actually wanted to have Ferns on the show is because we have a similar vibe. You know, we are both trying to motivate people. We're trying to have people come on who we can inspire others with, who they can speak openly. They can learn to talk openly because we don't do that in our generation. You know what I'm saying?
Not enough.
Not enough.
Hell no. yo, it's getting tougher and tougher to have real conversations these days.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And you know, friends, like I said, I just want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, to let people know who you are, what you're about, you know, how you even got to the place that you're at. So what's good?
Yo, Ferns Francois, where I came from, like, it's been a long road, you know what I mean? And I'm thankful to be here, to be able to talk about it a little bit, because there's been ups, there's been downs. Yes, I'm a creator. I love filmmaking. I love photography. Shout out to Maggie Inc., you know, my modeling agency that got me into a whole new creative world and avenue where I was able to have, you know, time, you know, be flexible and learn trades that I was really passionate about, like photography and videography. So yeah, I'm working on that and making sure that, you know, I'm giving other people a voice too while I'm on the way up, you know. Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome.
So yeah, the Scoop With Ferns is an opportunity to talk to people and get real.
Hey.
Get down. Oh.
Hey, get up, get down. And you know, what I just want to highlight too is what you just said, like on your way up, you want to give people the opportunity to have a voice and to, you know, be able to speak. And it's like, that's exactly what we're about in Old Soul Young World, because we all have an internal struggle, internal dialect, a dialogue, whatever it may be, but you only show like one side to everybody. You don't want to open up and show that, like, the real shit, the shit that goes on behind the scenes.
I'm ready to peel it back.
Hey, oh snap! You're ready to peel all of it back.
Get in there, you know.
That's dope. So we're gonna chop it up, guys. We're gonna get real. We're gonna talk openly about what it's like to be creatives and to try to start something of your own. You know, both of us having our own shows and knowing what goes into the production of it, and scheduling guests, and having time management, and inconsistency, and support, or
struggle,
lack of support
for sure. For sure.
He already knows.
Yo, can we cheers?
Yo, can we cheers to that? Yeah, hey, cheers to lack of support. You make us better, guys. But could you let us know, you know, how did Scoop With Ferns get started? What is the concept of that? And where could people watch it also, if you want to plug that in?
Well, find me on IG, Scoop With Ferns, first and foremost, and also on YouTube, The Scoop With Ferns. You know, eventually it's going to be on Spotify, but right now I'm all about the visuals. I'm working on my videography skills and trying to get that down pat at the same time. So that helps me with that.
Dope.
But first and foremost, I love talking to people, let me tell you.
Hey.
And some people, you know, will say like, oh yeah, you know, like it depends on the subject. I don't care what it is. I don't care what is important to you. Actually, I do care, and that's the point. You know, we're getting a little too far apart in society, divided. We're all choosing sides and tribes and all this and that. And, you know, we kind of forget that we're all part of the human race, you know. And
Amen.
I'm trying to remind everybody that, yo, all our stories matter. And I'm definitely willing to listen to your story. But, you know, at the same time, like, you know, I got to get mine out too.
Yeah.
So the Scoop With Ferns started out as It actually started on Clubhouse, to be honest. And it wasn't the Scoop with Ferns. It was actually, I could live with that.
I can live with that.
Yeah. Because it was supposed to
different.
be like, yeah.
Wait. Time-wise, how far back does this go?
Whoa. So I could live with that was like last summer.
Okay.
Like
All
during
right.
the pandemic.
Yep.
Yeah, on Clubhouse. And it was, I can live with that because it was a riff off of, agree to disagree.
Okay.
You know, when you get to a point in conversation where y'all just, you're not going to agree on it, you say, you know what, I could live with that and just move on to the next subject. And it was dope. Shout out to Suhaili, shout out to Will, my first co-host on that. And then Pierre and Dariel came through, but, it just wasn't consistent enough.
Yeah.
I couldn't, get people to show up consistently, to have conversations about whatever. We got into it. Let me tell you, we got into it.
I can imagine.
But then, me and my boy Scoop from back in the day, we're like, yo, let's do a variety show. And, variety means variety. Like, we were going to crack jokes, and we got a lot of jokes in it, because he's a funny-ass dude. And our vibes is great.
Was it going to be like a two-person, just like you and him, almost like every episode type?
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. And
Just going
sometimes
back.
we have skits, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Because, we love to clown, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's, but we also like to get down to business, too. So, we wanted to have one of the varieties be, I wanted to have one of the varieties be like more serious topics, including politics. But we butted heads on that direction. And plus, like, he's a very talented artist, very talented person who's also very busy. So it didn't make sense for him to continue with Scoop with Ferns when we couldn't agree on the topics.
Right.
So we split, but that was after, like, we had launched.
I was going to say, so did you have episodes out? Was this already
we hadn't launched an episode yet, but
Okay.
we had everything. We had the branding down, we had the YouTube, we had the Instagram. Had already been asking
That's
people to follow. We had logos that I had to change around.
Wow.
Merch. This is actually the OG Scoop with Ferns, Scoop and Ferns merch that I'm retconning to be like a retro, and it's just gonna have the new logo on it.
Okay.
Because I want some like OG, because I want to talk about the struggle. I want people to know about, like, yo, this didn't start and everything was all gravy.
Right.
That's just not what it was. So yeah. After that, I just, call it the Scoop with Ferns, and I knew, like, I'm gonna have guests on every new episode, and we're gonna talk about their stories.
Yeah.
Who are they? Who are you? What makes you who you are? What's some of your trauma? What's some of your wins? But also, what's some of your losses?
Of course,
Yeah.
And that's crazy, because that's a win and loss for you in a way. Do you know what I'm saying? Or a loss and then a win, I guess, if you want to put it that way, because you had to figure out, okay, the rebranding and all the work and time and effort that you put in, and now just change it to something completely different.
Yeah.
And figure out how to be okay with that too, and
Yup.
and to not cause any negative issues. Maybe between you and your people or whatever it may be.
Yo,
That must have been huge to go through. Like, I can't even imagine that.
it was crushing, and people won't really know that because, like, unfortunately, not a lot of people ask or care to ask, But, like when it was Scoop and Ferns, like, I was, you're afraid to share some things, right? You know what I
Right.
mean? Your endeavors, you know what I mean? You get a new job, like, you can share that. Everyone's gonna congratulate you on that. But
Yeah.
you start a business, you start something creative, it's different. You know what I mean? You're worried about being judged, but most of all, you're worried about, at least I am, not being supported.
Exactly.
And so, like, I put it out there little by little. As we're recording, we were doing screen tests. We were putting in mad work behind the scenes before anyone saw anything. So I was like, you know what? I'm ready to put some stuff out, but only to a few select people. So, I created a close friends list of 40 people on Instagram and only shared to my story to the close friends. See what the reactions were. And, like, they're all right, you know what I mean? They weren't, exactly like, oh yeah, but I kind of expected that.
Right.
But then I took it the extra step, and I was like, yo, I'm going to ask people straight up. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'd really appreciate it if you could follow the page, because that would be huge in supporting me.
Just a follow.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Nothing
it.
crazy.
I don't need $100.
Right.
I don't need a ride. You know what I'm saying? I don't need you to come through.
You don't got to be my manager.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
just want you to like
yo,
that shit.
Just do
Share it.
do a couple clicks, yo.
Show your mom, please.
Yo, and that's when, like, that was my first major hurdle, because, it just wasn't what I expected, because those 40 people, I was like, yo, I specifically put people I thought rolled with me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't ask all 40, but I asked a good number of them.
Yeah.
And there were people I had to ask twice. And, you know, I didn't ask nobody 3 times. You know what I mean? I just know I can't really fuck with you because you don't really fuck with me like I thought you did.
Right.
And then, yeah, but, you know, I kept it moving. You know what I mean? Because you have to, as, you know, I'm sure you know.
100%.
You know what I mean? Whether the support is there or not, you have to keep going, and you have to believe in yourself, because that's what I set out and told myself when I set out on this journey. If I don't believe in myself, if I'm not talking about this all the time, if I'm not promoting it, if I'm not setting a standard for my friends and family to support, then why would they?
Right. Exactly.
Why would they? Yeah.
Yeah. But even if you sometimes create that platform and you put everything on the table and you do everything you're supposed to do that you think, oh, of course the people closest to me would support this or love this or share this or talk about it with you or whatever it may be. It's like you don't get that immediate reaction or initial like gratification of like people wanting to immediately put your shit out there. And it's crazy that you say that, because like same for me, like, and that's where I feel like it's very relatable. Like when you start something, you start showing your true colors, right? Like, okay, so let's say before I started putting the show out, a lot of the shit that I posted on Instagram was like pictures of me or videos or whatever, like
your life.
Well, like my life, whatever. Okay, like so I'll get like a good amount of likes, whatever. As soon as I start putting out like the show, the podcast, me talking about real shit, whatever, it's like I just noticed like the likes, the support, like even now when I'll post selfies, it still wouldn't get as many as it would back in the day, because there's too much truth like, you know, scheduled in between the other posts. You know what I mean? Like people are very like we talked about before, I think everybody has a mindset of a one-track mind. Like, okay, you have to make it on your own. And like anybody else around you is almost competition type shit. It's like, we don't need to live that way though. Just because they told you have to live that way doesn't mean you have to take that advice and that's who you are. Like me and you, like it could be a competition type shit. Like, I'm not gonna go on Scoop with Ferns. I'm not gonna go on Also Young World. Like,
she got a podcast too. Man, fuck. I don't know.
Yeah, like,
I don't know.
Like, why though? What are we gaining from that? You know, except like negativity. Like I think, you know, and what we're both like, the level we're on is trying to build other people up to get to the point where it's like, you don't have to hate on somebody else. That person can be doing better than you. It doesn't matter, because you're in your own lane. Like,
also like they could be motivating you. Like, you know, you got places to go. You should have goals. Right. You know what I mean? Like, why try to bring someone down instead of trying to get up to their level? Yeah. You know what I mean? And if you're just trying to compete from a distance versus getting in that circle, you know what I mean?
100%.
And getting with that person, learning from that person, and guarantee that person's going to learn from you too.
Yes.
And that support, yo, that is much stronger than any hate, much stronger than any shit you can throw at anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to like just put out there, like as much as I can. Like, you guys want to build, you guys want to be something, like, can you imagine how much further ahead you'd be if you consolidated your efforts?
Right.
Instead of thinking like, oh, you just got to do it alone, and oh, you can't support this other person, even though like they're supposedly like your friend or something like that. That's crazy to me.
And like, how do we go about changing that culture? You know what I mean? I feel like you have to be an example. That's the only way throughout history that we've ever been able to change anything. Sexism, racism, like prejudice, anything that it is, like you have to have people start setting examples for other people and letting them know it's okay. You know, it's okay to say you're not okay.
Right.
It's okay to say you deal with anxiety or depression, or you struggle, or you've been at your lowest of low before you got to where you are now. What the fuck? Like, what do we think, that everything just starts from a great platform and builds up? Like,
yo, that's the thing. People who have not really tried to build something, that's what they think. When my first business, like I thought like, oh, I'm just gonna like pour, like I took my 401k, empty that shit, and I was like, I'm just gonna put all my 401k.
You did what?
Yup.
You took your 401k and emptied that shit?
Into a business, yes.
Yo.
Yes.
That's ballsy.
Oh, I know it was ballsy. I was ready to take over the world.
That's some true entrepreneur shit right there.
And you know what? People will be like, oh yeah, you know, a lot of people look at this. That was a huge failure. And like, look, the business is not successful. It's not around today. But you know what? I learned so much from that. How much money do people spend on an education in school? You know what I'm saying?
Hundreds of thousands.
So like the lessons that I learned from there, it cost me, but I learned lessons and I'm here better for it now today. And I'm applying things that I learned with that failed business, if you want to call it that, to this now.
100%.
You know, back then I was like, kind of like, I felt weird about promoting it to people. I truly did. And you laugh because I know you feel the same.
100%. I felt like a fucking weirdo when I first started putting this out. I'm like, do you know
Isn't
how many
that crazy?
people are going to look at me and be like, old soul, young world? Are you okay in your mind, Jesse? Like, who do you think you are?
Just the fact that you have that thought means like you're in a toxic environment. I mean, if we were in a more nurturing environment, we wouldn't even have that thought.
Right.
Oh, if I put myself out there, if I put my work out there, it's going to be supported.
Right.
It's going to be like, oh, this is going to be successful because everybody that fucks with me or says they fuck with me, they're going to be on this. And in no time, like, ooh, that's not going to be
like, I don't have to doubt or question it. I already know that the support's going to be there. But and I don't know, but it's the support not being there too that kind of takes you to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Like realizing that, you know, I'm only going to ever be the only one to come through for myself. And like when you ask me like, oh, so when you started, like, did you start this alone? And it's like, I did start this alone. I started in my room on my phone, talking on my phone into Blog Talk Radio from 7 to 8 every Monday. You could tune in live. If you didn't tune in live, you could catch my recording. And then there were so many processes, like I said, studio switches and team changes and all this shit. But I always kept it just me because I couldn't rely on anybody else to show up to the shows for me, to plan with me, to like do the pre-production. Because like you said, before you even dropped anything, when you did Scoop and Ferns, you had to do so much pre-production.
Working.
Just fucking, just to plan to put it out.
Yes.
Like not even putting out content yet.
Mad sweat and tears. Yeah.
That's insane. You know what I mean? So it shows you sometimes too, guys, like you do need a team, but also like your biggest team, your biggest supporter, it's always going to be you.
That's it. Number one right here. That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you can't pick yourself up at the end of the day, and when you're having those worst days and you're down on your knees, literally can't get up off the floor, tears in your eyes, if you can't pull yourself up, nobody else is ever going to be able to pull you up.
You know what I mean? Thankfully, you know what I mean? Like, my wife is incredible. You know what I mean?
That's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. Like,
shout out her.
Shout out Danielle. I love you, baby.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but like, without her, shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Because like, you said it. Like, at the end of the day, if you don't have someone to pick you up, you don't have someone like when you're in your deepest, darkest place and be like, just let you know, like, hey, I'm here for you. At the very least.
At the very least.
You know what I mean? And like people won't even, like so many people, like, you know, you come up with and like you say that they're your ride or die. Like they won't do that. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I understand we're in a generation, right? Or we come up in an era where we don't like asking for people things or telling people things, but like I've worked on that shit,
right?
And I've gotten to the point where like, if you're my boy or my girl or my whatever,
I should be able to ask,
and I'm gonna ask
without guilt or without feeling like I'm obligating you to something. Like if you're my true person, it would never be an obligation. That's how you know like, it's your true people.
And I'm not talking about anything crazy, like you know what I mean, like alone, like you know what I'm saying, like everybody got their thing, but I'm like hey, I need you to like, can you share my stuff on Instagram? And I can't ask you that.
Yeah.
I gotta reevaluate things.
Right.
I really do. Nothing against like you. Like I don't. I want to see you win. Do your thing. But like as far as like who I know, who I have in my list in my head, who I can rely on when the chips are down, and I need somebody.
Yeah.
I gotta I gotta look elsewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? 100%. I can't have that because that's just gonna lead to disappointment and dejection.
And you know something, just to go off what you said, like something that pops into mind is that people who do put that energy out there or can't follow through or you know what I'm saying, can't show support. Sometimes it's something internal within them where they can't face like, maybe they're working a 9 to 5 and they're not fulfilling a dream, a goal. They're not happy. You know what I'm saying? They don't have something in them that's motivating them to keep wanting to get up and keep going. So why the fuck would they give you their support? You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost a hate type thing, but it's, if you really look at it, like we come from a generation of depression, of social media, of comparing each other, of trying to be the best. If you're not the best, then you get down on yourself. So imagine you have having something good and your best friend's there, they love you, they support you, but they're not fulfilling their internal dream, they're still going to be hating on you. You know what I mean? And it's the saddest truth, but we have to openly talk about it, guys. It's the only way we can change the dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Like, that person should be able to open up, support you so that you can support them back so they can come out of that phase. But we have so much ego. It's so much ego.
You said it right there. Support them back. Like, I looked at my perspective at the outset when I'm asking people for support for this. I looked at it like this. If you were in my position and you said, hey, Ferns, can you follow this page? This is my thing. I'd be there in a second. I'd be there in a second. Like, oh, congratulations. This is awesome. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'll put my car over. I'll stop driving, put that shit in park on the highway. Make sure I go share your shit. Like,
so it just doesn't compute for me when I ask someone for something I feel is just like, yo, again, like, I'm not asking you for the world over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially, you know what really grinds my gears? If I ask you to share my stuff.
He goes, you know what really grinds my gears?
Yo. And like, you sharing other people's shit who don't even know you unsolicited. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay. Like, and I'm not saying like, oh, my shit's the cream of the crop.
No.
I'm not saying, oh, share my stuff because it's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm saying share my shit because you're my friend and you support me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you know, because I'm putting something positive into the universe when there's so much negativity going on right now.
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? If you're putting out some bullshit, like you're just talking shit and whatever, and you're like, yo, share my shit, you share my shit. It's just you like smoking blunts and drinking and talking shit. Like, okay, I get it. Maybe in one end they're like, nah, I don't fuck with that. But it's like, you're putting out some motivational, positive content that literally, if one person hears it, it could maybe change their whole day.
Right.
Like,
or it can make someone laugh. You know what I mean? Or it just like, it's just like, yeah, like
that's it.
You're saying it, you know?
Yeah.
And we all got to start somewhere, right? So even if like, let's say like you don't think, like you see my shit and you don't think like it's going to motivate anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, tell me. Give me some feedback.
Right.
Don't ghost me. You know what I'm saying? Don't just be like, oh, nah, like I'm a grown man. I understand in my 20s, like, you know what I mean? I was a cowboy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? I went feelings first, you know what I mean? Then think first, you know? But like, yo, I've done a lot of maturing and I'm proud of where I'm at. And I want to keep my friends. I want to make up with, you know, the friends I lost when I was stupid and young and wild and bucking. But, you know, I want people to be able to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like if you legitimately took the time to look at my stuff and you're like, yo, I can't share this because of X, Y, and Z, I will respect the hell out of that.
Right. Constructive criticism.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And
but
we need that.
you just don't say shit and you like, yo, you supposed to be like, we supposed to be down. And I'm just like, you leave me hanging.
Right.
I'm walking. I'm walking.
Exactly. And you know, that's how I feel about like people in general. Like I respect honesty so much. Like if like, let's say I invite you somewhere, right? And you can't make it. Like, instead of ignoring me and not hitting me back, I would like, yo, it means so much to my soul. If somebody hits me, I was like, yo, honestly, I'm going through this. I got this going on. I really can't make it tonight and I'm so sorry. Instead of literally never texting me back, like that shit means more to me than anything. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand. Being genuine, being vulnerable, being open and willing to talk about your shit makes it so much easier for everyone around you to do the same thing. Facts. You know, and like, and if we could domino effect that into society just a little bit by Also Young World and, you know, Scoop With Ferns,
come on,
then
baby.
Maybe we can make a difference.
Please.
But people gotta share it.
People gotta share it, you know, and you know, honestly, like shout out. I mean, you know, this is episode 43 for you, so you've had at least 43 guests. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to them. Shout out to the guests, all of them, every last one who's
every
come
single
on,
one of y'all,
because that is support. You know what I mean? I don't want to, you know, I don't want to turn my nose at that at all.
Facts.
But like, and I truly believe you keep going, I keep going, it's gonna be something. You know what I mean? Regardless of the people who we thought, you know, friends, family, whatever, whether they support or not. And going back to something you said, you know what I mean, about how do we change things, right? How do we be an example? I figured it out, man. Like you can't really change shit.
Drop that gem.
You can't really change shit from the bottom. And I'm not saying we at the bottom, but we got a lot of climbing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Oof.
And you know, when we get to the places like Jay-Z, shout out to him, right? When he accepted that award, and he shout out to Dame Dash, even though they haven't fucked with each other for years.
But that's what he
recognized
came from.
He couldn't be where he was at without his contributions.
100%.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
So get to a place where the influence will be there, the support will be there because, there's way too many other motherfuckers supporting you for them not to support you no more.
Yeah, right.
They got to listen to what you say. And if they're not listening to what you say, it's going to be clear, not just to you, but to everybody else. They're just hating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 100% true.
Keep
working. And don't forget where you came from. And like, just like an example, like based off me, it's like, if you guys have been watching Old Soul Young World since last year, so we're about to have a birthday in January.
Yeah.
So our next episode after this is going to be like a birthday party episode. We're going to be popping bottles, like blowing out candles. It's going to be like a whole thing. You already know. Man. We're going to be recapping like season 1 and 2 of Old Soul Young World. It's going to be like pretty fucking lit.
I'm ready for it.
Hey.
What?
But so if you've been watching for a while, you'll know that the set has changed in the last 2 episodes. Like if you look at my videos, I didn't even have videos when I first started. Like I said, I was doing a radio blog live podcast. Then I went to doing just an audio podcast. Then I went to doing like some visuals. And then we went to doing like every week visuals. And, now I'm here in a TV production studio, Shoutout, Stray Vision TV. But I just am saying to the point, the only people that got me here is everyone who helped me before that. Like, shout out Marlon O, shout out Lex Studio, shout out to Vi Podcast, shout out to Vi Podcast 1,000 times. That's my fucking team. And I literally would not have gotten to this point without them pushing me forward, without these people coming through who didn't know me from a hole in the wall. And I'm putting out like a promotional thing, like, please, anyone who can produce my podcast, and these people coming and swooping in like, yo, we appreciate what you're doing, like we will work with you. Like that's some true fucking people right there. So if you find people like that in your life, make sure you remember that, like, yo, if I ever get anywhere with this, Vibes coming with me, you feel me? Like if you ever get anywhere, like, who you're giving credit to. Like even if it's yourself, like however you started off, like just make sure you're true to that shit, and don't forget about people who came up with you. That's all I'm saying.
Amen. Because it's so important. Because we see the opposite. We see how hard it is without the support. So when people start coming in, you know what I mean. Suhaili, my homegirl Suhaili, like she's been supporting from the jump everything I do. Like not even just not Scoop With Ferns, but I tell her it's no coincidence she was my first guest.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying. So I'll always remember. I'll always fuck with her. I'll always ride with her because like she's a real one, as real as it gets. So it's just like, yo, I'm always gonna remember that because there's times where there's people who they see the show, they see you posting about it, they see you asking for people to come on, this and that, da da da. You know what I mean? They might be talking about it, but with like in circles where you're not present. You know what I'm saying? And when you see them, you gotta pretend like they ain't never heard of it. They don't know what the fuck you got going on. Hey, what you been up to? Oh, I started this show, and then you gotta watch this surprise face. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
really?
It's like whatever, yo. I'm a oversaturate you. I'm gonna beat you with it until like whatever. And I'm gonna always show love to the people who's like, especially the ones I don't even have to ask shit. Yeah. Like, yo, I just share the stuff and people like watch the story or they would watch this and they go over and follow. Yeah. To me, that is that is irreplaceable. Exactly. Because I had to ask some day ones more than once.
Right. And then you'll have a random person who doesn't know you who willingly will go out of their way. And it's like, do you know how much that means to me? Like, it's what you said. It's irreplaceable and people don't understand how much it means to a creative.
Yeah.
So.
It's almost like an unrepayable debt almost.
Facts.
You know what I mean, I want to get to a place where I'm like, I don't know, winning awards or some shit. And, I'm on that stage and I'm like, yo, shout out to, Suhaili, shout out to, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I never really used to understand like why everybody had to why he had to go through this long ass list.
The people that people out.
Yeah, the people that know, like they know. But it's like, nah, yo, I get it now.
No, it needs to be verbally recognized. Yeah. Because it's that important.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it means that much.
Especially since if you go up there like, yo, shout out to all my people. There's some people who's not really your people who will go telling people like, yeah, he shot me out. Like, nah, I ain't talking about you.
Exactly.
Like, you wasn't there.
You already know.
You wasn't with me shooting in the gym.
You already know. Exactly. And that starts with anything. Like, whether you have a small business, like you start a small restaurant. You know what I mean? Are your friends coming there and buying your food? Are they sharing your shit? Like, that, it's just those little things. So, I just want to put that energy out there. So, if anybody's listening in and you have a creative friend or somebody in your circle, anybody who you see is trying to do something positive, come up, trying to make something better themselves, share their shit. Take a second out of your day. You feel me? And I understand what it's like. Social media is overwhelming and it's like all encompassing. If you have the energy and the time, just do it. Like, you know what I mean? It will make the hugest difference. So that's all I have to say about that.
And I do want to take the time to say, like, if you feel like I'm not supporting you,
Call me out.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah, facts.
Because, like, I need to know that shit.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's address it. That's it.
Yeah. And call yourself out, too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
self-accountability is so important.
What was that?
Self-accountability is so important. You're going to go on this journey, you better have some self-accountability. You better be able to look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. You have to check yourself when you get off track. You know what I'm saying? I've had weeks where I'm like, yo, Jesse, you need to get your shit together. You are a mess this week. You are not planned. You're not organized. You're off schedule. You need to, like, get your shit together. This is not you. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, some people don't have that internal check where it's like, wait, something's off. You know what I mean? They just go on with that crazy notion and you get caught up. And that's how you kind of lose yourself.
Oh, yeah. So, it could happen just like that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the 9 to 5, like, you got people to answer to, like, immediately.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Manager, and then, you know, vice president, whatever. Like, you're slacking, like, people notice.
Yeah.
But, like, when you're, like, just on your grind,
yeah,
and, you know, you just got yourself to answer to, like, you got to hold yourself accountable, or else you're just going to be, you know, you're going to end up failing, and it's going to be because you didn't, you know, kick yourself in the butt.
Yeah, it's true. You know, and I just want to shout out your show real quick. I want to give you a little bit of praise because I seriously respect your visual content so much, as well as the audio. Like, you have great conversation, which is something that I genuinely like look for when I'm watching content, like whether it be music or a podcast. Like, lyricism or real talk is very important to me. Being able to, you know, and like, you know, I'll laugh with you guys when you guys are talking about shit too. But like, there's the real moments where you guys are being open and vulnerable, and you're getting down to the nitty gritty of like why you have these guests on the show and what they've gone through and what they struggled through. And like, that's what motivates me to keep doing what I do. So like, when I seen somebody else in the North Shore area, like, and like we said, I could have been like, oh, yo, what the fuck's this guy doing? He like trying to, you know, step on my scene.
Did he see my shit, yo?
You seen OSYW, bro? Like, what you doing, Ferns? But it motivated me, and it gives me so much respect for you, especially as a young man, being able to put yourself out there and be so genuine and have people on of all different like diversities, like cultures, everything, and being able to give them a platform to open up, whether they're from here or up here. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter the like how professional they are. It's you're giving them a platform. So I just respect and appreciate you so much. And like, I'm blessed to have you on the show today.
Yo,
so.
What? Yo, stop. Yo,
for real, for real.
Thank you so much.
No,
I truly appreciate that. Thank you so much for that acknowledgement. I'm blessed to be here. Let me tell you, just to be able to talk to you and tell my side, because hosting is you know, I was telling you, it's different. You know what I mean? You want to give that person, you know, that space,
right?
And you want them to be at least, what I do is I want them to feel comfortable talking to me. I want them to be able to forget that the camera's there, the microphone's there, and it's just like, Ferns, like whoever we are, like let's talk about like what's deep in our heart, you know. And so I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and do that to your incredible platform, your incredible show, and your incredible vibe. Hit that.
You hear that positive energy, guys? It is so much positive energy radiating in the studio today. We feeling it. We fucking feeling it. Much. Of course. And this is what it should be about, like creatives, building creatives and giving each other a platform and opening up so that we can all continue, guys. Like we're all on our journeys. We're all on a different journey, but we're all on a journey. That's what this life is about. So if you can create or contribute something that's positive in this society, just do it, no matter how you can. Whatever you have to give, just give it. You know what I'm saying? But so curious, and I think the people listening in might be curious too. Who is your behind the scenes? Are you the behind the scenes? Do you produce this shit yourself? Do you do the video, the audio, the production, the studio? Like, what is it? Where is it? Is it you?
So
one person team?
Nothing I do is solo. Everything I do, I got my wife backing me.
Hey.
But as far as like, you know, the Scoop With Ferns, like, you know, we we do it out of Francois Studios.
Okay.
Which is a studio we just opened up together in Lynn, photo and video.
Okay, let's go.
Let's do it.
Yo, let's
do
go.
It. Come down, Google us.
Francois Studios.
Yeah, and we're incredibly proud of it. And right now, you know, I do the audio, I do the video, you know, I do the editing, the post-production.
Yes.
I can't wait to get to a point where I can outsource it.
Yes.
You know, to free me up for some other things.
Right.
But as for us right now, it's just what it takes. And,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I appreciate too, because like I always want to be getting better at those aspects. Like I look at the color grading from episode 1 and some of the most recent stuff I shot. I'm like, okay, yeah, Ferns, yeah, we're getting, you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. You know what I mean? So there's benefits to it, and I'm going to appreciate that process rather than just continue to just looking to the future where I can pawn it off on somebody else. You know, we have to be appreciative of the moment. You know, we have to live in the moment and learn from it. And then, you know, because one day we'll be looking back and be like, man, remember the good old days?
Literally.
You know?
Remember when we were doing that ourselves and we were so busy, weren't sleeping, all those good things.
Yeah. So right now it's you know, it's the one-man show, you know, with a good group of people who have been willing and open to come down and chat with me. Yeah. Shout out to Slice Money, who put us together.
Hey, yeah, for real.
You,
we wouldn't have been connected, you know, without Soli. So thank you, you know, shout out.
There you go. You know, the connection, the network.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if he didn't come onto the show and
shout out Running United nationwide, because you know they're doing such a positive thing and such a positive organization of young men who are running together each month, like 100 miles a month or whatever it may be, or I don't even know. They do like 10-mile runs a day. It's crazy. I could never, but so you know,
you was out there though.
I was out there.
You was out there.
All right. I did a 5K and I threw up after. We don't need to talk about it. You know, that's behind the scenes shit that nobody knew about, but we said it here. So here you go. But it's all about that. Coming together, having people, you know, put you in connection with other people to make that positive community. Right. And it's super important. And, you know, like the people that, I don't know how you feel, but the people that you have in your show, I'm sure that you choose them for like specific reasons, like they have a story or they have something to share.
Absolutely. And they rock with me.
Yeah.
First and foremost, they rock with me.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, how is your scheduling process? Like, how is setting that up for you? Do you feel like for other people listening in who might be trying to start like a podcast or a talk show or something like that, I don't know. Is there...
That's a dope question. That's a dope question.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that question, actually, because the scheduling process was this for me. Like, you know, between the transition... Like when when me and Scoop, you know, broke off and it became the Scoop with Ferns, it's probably like a 2-week transition.
Yeah.
I mean, doing the rebranding, the logo changes and everything like that. And then I was like, listen, I got to launch this. Cause like we were planning to launch like imminently.
And you had been building your like self up for this launch. Like, yo, like,
you know what I mean?
Ready.
And I'm like, yo, if I don't launch this now, I don't know when or if I'm going to launch this thing. So I told myself, okay, I'm going to shoot 4 episodes before I air episode 1. And by the time I aired episode 1, I had 12 episodes done. I just shot and I shot. You know, I didn't you know what my scheduling was? Yo, hey,
that's wild. I can't even believe you just said that shit.
Yo,
I do this on the weekly. I don't even have pre-recorded shit yet, so I respect that so fucking much.
Oh, yo, I mean, don't get me wrong. I see the value in having things and going weekly, and I'm done interviewing after, you know, the next 2. I got you coming up. I can't wait.
Oh shit, he just dropped that.
Was that a bomb?
You heard it here first. I'm gonna be going on Scoop with Ferns coming up in the next couple weeks, so you guys gonna see that dropping.
But yeah, I wanted to have that backlog because like I told myself, like, yo, I didn't want to fall behind even 1 week.
Right.
I'm gonna have 4 episodes and it's gonna give me 4 weeks lead time to get my shit in order, and then I'll start shooting. But you know what? Once I got to that 4, I was like, I'm not stopping.
Yes.
I'm not stopping. And you know, because I had so much interest, thank goodness, like from people want to come on. Shout out to everybody. You know, and so I just had a sheet of people like I was gonna approach. And then I just started approaching them. Hey, you know, this is what I got to go on. Do you want to come on as a guest? And again, the response was incredible. And I was like, yo, I'm not turning these people away. I'm not telling them, like, you know, let's do it 3 months down the line.
Yeah.
Everybody who said
Let's
yes.
do it this week.
Exactly. If they said yes.
Like, you're giving me your time.
In.
Whenever your time is available, give it to me.
That's
like,
it.
I'm ready for you.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? What am I going to make an excuse? Oh, yeah, you know, da-da-da. I could always make an excuse to put it off. But now I got 14 episodes. 3 just launched. 4 launches this
fucking fire.
This Tuesday. Shout out to Yonerki. You know, and it's that way. And now I'm putting off the interviews. Now, you know, after I finish the scheduled interviews, I won't do an interview until I'm caught up.
Yeah.
And then now it'll be weekly.
Yeah.
And by then, right, we're talking about like 16, 17 weeks out.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about like, I'm going to have the process down pat. So I'll be able to do a turnaround within a week, no problem.
Right.
And the content will be fresh. You know what I
Right,
mean? Because
exactly.
like my backlog, it's going to get a little outdated, but I'm okay with that because people aren't talking about current events. They're talking about themselves.
Exactly.
They're talking
That's
about their
never
lives.
outdated.
What's in here.
Right,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if it is, hopefully it's you're winning more than you were when you recorded it. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
Like,
yes.
and then we can, you know, have you back on
And you know,
celebrate.
there's no expiration date on the soul.
That's
you feel
right.
me?
That's right. And the struggles. You know what I'm saying? These
And the
people are putting out,
struggles.
you know, again, shout out to the homie Slice who told me the reasoning of him joining Running United. It's like it really helps with mental health.
Yes.
And men, we don't ever talk about that.
That's
We
fire.
never talk about that. That shit is it's just off limits.
100%
You
facts.
gotta be the rock. You gotta be hella strong.
Right.
You can't struggle mentally. What?
Right.
You got bills to pay. You got, you know, families to feed. You know, this and that. You got macho shit.
Or
to
just
take
in
care
general,
of.
you're a man, right? So
Exactly.
man can't feel feelings.
Toughen up.
Man can't talk about feelings.
Yo, we was at a viewing party because we do viewing parties for Scoop With
I
Ferns.
heard, and I actually hope I'm getting invited to one soon.
So
maybe for mine
this
or
is the first time. This is the first time I'm putting this out there in public. But the viewing parties are open to guests only. So like, yeah,
shit.
when you come on, absolutely you get an invitation. And I also I got a group chat and everything. Like we put everybody in a group
wow,
chat.
you
we
all
build together.
fancy.
Yo,
you got a network.
I'm trying to build.
Yeah, I love
Like,
it.
yo,
I love
everybody
it.
who's not down,
I'm taking
like,
notes over here. I'm like,
you get
okay,
mad at
check.
me because you're getting left
Viewing
behind.
party.
Like, the invitation was sent and you didn't RSVP. It's not. I'm not looking back.
Don't come back to me crying. You knew it was there.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to come back and be like, yo, Ferns, you know, my bad, I was on a different type of time. Like, you know what I mean? That's something different. But don't wait
Yeah.
too long because, you know what I mean? Fame and fortune, you know, changes shit. You know what I mean? I don't want you trying to be hop on after the fact. Because you see, he
you
really
see
is
things
doing
coming
big
up
things.
or
Like, you know what I
whatever.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you wasn't trying to, get down with me when shit was when we were struggling.
Yeah.
And there's people over here who's with me since day one. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't
100%.
do that, you know, so get your shit in order now. So yeah, we do viewing parties and I
Hey.
can't wait to have you at it.
I love that. This is going to be fun.
They're a blast. Yo, we come down, we have snacks, we have food.
Stop it.
Yo, we watch the episode, we let the episode play, we talk about our, how it relates to us.
Yes.
And one of why this came up is one of them. Shout out to Miguel, my third guest. He was watching.
I'm sorry. Is he the graffiti artist?
Yes. Okahe.
Yo, I'm
holla,
sorry. Hold on.
Holla.
Hold on.
That's fire.
I need to take a moment.
Woo.
Shout out Miguel. I am so impressed with your work. Literally so impressed with the graffiti, all the pieces that I seen, even the way that you spoke on the podcast.
Have you met him?
No, I've never met
you
him.
met him.
So I'm
You're
just
gonna be
shouting you out right now
impressed
because I
even
met you. That shit was fire. And if you haven't seen Ferns' new episode with Miguel, make sure you go check it out with Scoop With Ferns on Instagram because that shit is crazy.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
sorry.
No,
Just had to plug that
don't
real
be
quick.
sorry. That was needed. Thank you. He's going to love that. Yo, no, he's the man. And I appreciate him so much. And I appreciated this nugget because you know how, I don't know, maybe you don't know. I shouldn't, assume, but I block out a lot of trauma. I blocked out a lot of trauma. People say that a lot, but then I didn't realize it until he said this. We were watching an episode, and I think it was Suhaili. She was talking about, how you're supposed to act, when you're getting hit or something like that as a young child. And he was like, "Yo, yeah, especially as a man, like you can't cry because if
Yeah.
you cry, you get whipped even more."
Right.
And I had completely forgotten that. I had completely blocked that
blocked
out.
it out.
If crying and showing like reactions from pain can result in even more of an ass whooping. Like that was crazy.
Right.
And so shout out to them for bringing that up. It's like, to your point, we can't show emotion. We can't act on that.
And it
we can't have our
ingrains in your
feelings hurt.
mental, you know what I mean? Then it becomes
Absolutely.
part of who you are.
No question.
And you do suppress that memory because you're like, this isn't a memory. This is just part of who I am now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't cry.
That's how you
Like,
survive.
Yeah.
And then you project that shit onto other people.
Right.
And that's hella toxic.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had to do so much growth, so much work because
trauma healing. You literally have to heal from the shit that you shove aside. Like,
Facts.
but not everyone can even admit that there's something there to heal. Do you know what I'm saying? Or face that fact, because sometimes it's too painful to pull out the memories that you suppressed. Do you know what I mean? Or you can't, like, it's almost a PTSD type shit.
Yeah.
And like PTSD is so real. Like there's things like, there's triggers, you know what I'm saying? There's things that bring shit back, and it's like, you know, from somebody, and I'm gonna be super vulnerable right now, like being in unhealthy relationships in the past, and people who have put me down or you know, mentally, you know, mental and verbal abuse is a real thing.
True.
And it comes in the forms of controlling. And when you think it's love and you don't realize that it's control, it's even more dangerous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you come out of it and then you start to look back and realize, wow, that was trauma in itself. I didn't even realize when I was going through that it was trauma.
Right.
Then you can learn to start finally building off of that. You know, I didn't even mean to come on this topic today, like, obviously, but
we're here, baby.
But here we are. Yeah, so it's like, and you know, and
like,
like, for everyone listening in who has seen Old Soul Young World, since I started Old Soul Young World a year ago, it has made me face myself so much, and it has made me pull out repressed memories and trauma and things that I tried to forget about, because I had to learn to face them so I could keep talking. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn to face them. So when I had guests on the show, I could be open with them, and I could be honest, and I could tell my truth without being ashamed and without being embarrassed and without being, you know, it's okay to say that you're not okay. Like I said before, like, I'm okay to say that I've dealt with depression, anxiety, and I've been in abusive, negative relationships. I'm okay to say that now. In the past, I would not be okay to say that or admit that openly at all. Because like I said, you don't admit it as being a trauma. You're just like, oh, it's something that happened. Like, no, it's not something that has to happen. And it does make you grow and become better. But you know, guys, you have to accept it and face it. And I think, you know, like, I'm sure you have gone through traumas that, you know, you've had to internally deal with so you can keep being the person you are and the man that you are, and not being an asshole and using all those things to, like, take it out on other people and shit like that. Cause that's part of the growth. That's part of the growth, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cause I did used to take it out on people. You know what I mean? I did use my trauma, and put it, you know, into the world in a negative way. And that is what is so important to me, you know, and in getting it out there, because there are people who are rightly embarrassed about that and ashamed about that. And you should be. But when you're working to be better, when you're working to be a better person, there's nothing to be ashamed
There's
about.
nothing to be ashamed of.
You know?
Yes.
And so in order to work to be a better person, you've got to address and acknowledge your demons, you know, you know, the shit that, you know, you didn't do that wasn't exactly right by people. And, you know, I mean, I'm not afraid to, you know, admit that I was very imperfect. And I'm still imperfect. But, you know, during those times in my life where I was not even acknowledging or dealing with my trauma, I was terrible. You know, I was terrible to people, and I didn't think I was, and that is a part of it. You know, that's a part of the healing, and acknowledging that you were, and being able to apologize. You know, being able to and then fix old behavior. Yeah. And I'm very proud of you for being able to speak about being mistreated, because a lot of times, you know, even though you don't know that you're in your trauma, the person doesn't know that they're being abusive. The person doesn't acknowledge that they're doing this. Yeah. And if you're not willing to speak on it, they're kind of free to continue being a shitty person. Right. If they're not looking at themselves in the mirror and doing some reflection. Right. You know?
100%.
You got to put it out there, not only for you, but so that there's more accountability in the world.
Yeah.
You know, people have to answer for their past, and I'm ready to answer for my past. I'm ready to look people in the face and say, hey, you know, I understand, you know, what I did, you know, when I was a different person.
Yeah.
But I hope you can forgive me, and I hope we can work towards, you know, a better future, either separately or together, or, you know, whatever, you know, it may be. But I want to help people heal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, guys, we all have healing. Like, we all have heart, souls, blood. Like, we all have healing. Do you know, we've all been through something, whether it's the littlest something or the biggest something. Like, we have all been there. And I think a huge part of my journey, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but when you start to heal from your trauma and you start to learn the hate that you held towards the people who did you wrong, or the hate that you have for the situations that you went through, they don't remain hate anymore. They actually turn to almost like a sadness and a forgivingness. Like, I feel bad that those people were so broken that they felt like they had to break me to make themselves feel better. You know what I'm saying? I feel so bad that they didn't have their father in their life, or they didn't have a family member supporting them or giving them love so that they knew how to give somebody else love. And at this point, when I learned to accept it, I started feeling this internal gratitude that I could accept my own love, and that I could also forgive them for not knowing how to love. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And that's a huge, like, when you get there and you look back and you're like, holy shit, yo, I just made some real self-growth right there. Like, I could not have done that shit last year.
What? Yo,
so,
big up to you. Hit that. Hit that. Yo, because it's important, because that's an anchor.
Yeah.
It's an anchor.
Yeah.
All that is an anchor. And it's not just to say that, oh yeah, you should just blindly like forgive everyone. Like, I think, you know, I think it's important to confront certain things and certain people.
Facts.
You know, depending on where you are in your life, where you are with it.
Yeah.
If, you know, sometimes no matter how much growth we do, there might be something just like stuck in the chest.
Yeah.
That if you're able to get it off of there with that person, hopefully they've been doing some growing. And, you know, you'll have just more understanding and more clarity in the world, and something and a better, clearer path to move on.
Facts.
But also, sadly, there are just some people who just never want to. Yeah. You know,
and then you learn to even accept that, though.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's
you have
the
to.
craziest
You have no other
part.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And until you start, though, like, guys, like, accepting these things, like, you won't understand the next step of acceptance. It's almost like an AA. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When they teach you, like, okay, when you're in AA, like, you have to learn these certain steps, and when you get to a certain step, you have to go forgive everyone in the past that you did wrong. And I'll never forget. And you know, shout out you know who you are, but like, one of my really, really good friends I've been friends with since I was so young, who went through a lot and he got sober, and I'll never forget the day that he texted me and he apologized, and he said he's on the step of being able to come to acceptance and to apologize to the people he's done wrong, and apologizing to me because I was there for him even when I was so naive and young. I didn't know he was like on drugs or whatever was going on. I didn't even recognize the fact, because I had so much love for him that I was just there for him. And he was like, yo, I'm sorry that I like had lied to you all those times and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, that showed me so much growth. Do you know how much that took him to get to the point where he could say that to somebody else? And that's like going back to the male thing. It's like being a guy and facing your, and apologizing to either.
Sorry.
Is that even like a thing? You know what I'm saying? Like guys have to learn how to say sorry, because they're taught that they shouldn't be saying sorry. Like, there's nothing to apologize for. You are who you are. You do people wrong. It's fine. Yeah. You feel negative. Ignore it. Like,
yeah, we're raised as if the world's our oyster, you know, like legit. You know, we see the comparison all the time between young men and then young women. You know, young women will more often than not have curfews early than men will, you know, at an earlier age. Or actually later in age, you know, than men will. You know, we get like, you know, free reign from early on. It's like, oh, you know, and certain things will happen to us, and we juxtapose that to what happened to our, you know, female counterparts
in the family reactions. Household, how they're treated within families between like sisters and brothers. It's different.
Right. It is different. And it does give you this mindset that like, like whatever, this false sense that you run shit, you know what I mean? Or that you're king shit, you know, and that is, it's detrimental to us. It really is. And we need to address that more. It's just like, no, we need accountability as well. Yeah. We need to be held accountable and be taught to apologize,
right,
and to speak about how we're feeling versus just lashing out,
right.
you know.
And you know, like what you just said kind of reminds me of something I heard about. I took a feminist theory course in college, and it's funny because when you hear feminist theory, you think, oh, all females. There was guys in that class learning about feminist theory, because being a feminist is not... It's not women being like, oh my gosh, like women are the only ones. We run the world. We run everything. No, it's men and women both understanding women have always been unequal, and we're just trying to put them at the same level. And having guys in the class gave such an open perspective. I don't even know what I was going off on this, but
the conversation is so much more enriching having two sides in there.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine we're all women, you don't have that much needed perspective. You know what I mean? And you know, it sounds like the men in there were mature enough to, you know, be able to give a perspective that wasn't just like, oh, this doesn't exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a disparity, and that does need to absolutely be addressed. And it takes two sides talking about it, for sure.
Exactly. And people being open to talk about and willing. So, like, thank you for even being open to, you know, address that on camera for any men listening in. Like, and just wondering, like, from your heart and your soul, like, do you have any advice or anything that you would want to say if there's anyone listening in who maybe has felt like you, comes from maybe a background or somewhere like a similar perspective that you come from? If they're stuck in that negative mindset and they're like, feeling like a macho guy, like, I can't apologize, I've done this wrong, I don't know how to come out of it, I'm down on myself, like, do you have any advice for anybody listening in?
Man.
How the fuck did you do it, yo? Like, I look at you and I'm like, how do you speak like this? How did you get here? And you're so like self-reflective.
Yo, being willing. It starts with just being willing. And again, I mean, it's been a hard road. I'm far from perfect, and I still have shit to atone for. But it's being willing to atone for and realize, like, yo, the shit you do has an impact on others, and the impact is way more than you think it is. You know, the way you treat people, the things you say. You know, you wake up in the morning, something you say to somebody in the morning could carry them throughout the entire day, sometimes maybe the week. So do you want that thing to be a positive thing? Do you want it to be a negative thing? And again, I'm not perfect. I still have my moments, but wake up every single day willing and wanting to do work. That's it.
Exactly.
That's where it starts.
Right.
You know, there's no sage one size fits all thing, or do this, do that, do that. I've been through a lot. I put through people a lot, and I realized that, yo, if I keep going up along this way, where's it gonna get me? You know what I mean? What kind of person do I want to be? What kind of person do I want people to, you know, to look up to? You know, because there will be people in your life who let you get away with bullshit.
Yeah.
That's a big part of the problem. There will be people who enable you. Thanks. And I had to really take a hard look at myself and say, shit, like, Ferns, like, your shit really doesn't stink. Like, I mean, your shit really does stink. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people in your life who won't tell you that. Yeah. And you got to look in the mirror and tell yourself that, because otherwise you'll continue along this path and, like, leaving devastation for a lot of people. Yeah. Not for everybody. There are people who will love you and, see you in a positive light because, you know, of the way, you know, you are with them. But there are other people who you'll leave in your wake, and that's just not cool. Yeah. It's not good for the soul. It's not good for the universe, and it's not good for them, most importantly.
Exactly. 100%. Wow. I did not expect the conversation to go in this direction, but here we are, yo. There was so much energy. Like, something was coming. I didn't know what it was, but, like, guys, like, this is a thing about being open, being vulnerable. It's like, we didn't come here with a plan of talking about, like, oh, we're going to be open up about this shit and, like, you know, whatever. But that's the truth, and that's the honesty of it. Yeah. Like, when you can really, like, show yourself and be open and start, it's not hard anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's just a conversation. It's necessary. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that if anyone listening can get from this podcast, it's necessary to self-reflect and to talk to the people around you. And if the people around you are not listening and responding, self-reflect again. You feel me? Yeah. And figure out what your environment, what is a healthy environment for you? Because I think a healthy environment is a huge basis to, like, growth and to starting a show and following your passion. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, because there's so many distractions in this world and things that try to take you off that track. Like, oh, you want to do Scoop with Ferns or Scoop and Ferns? Nope, it's not Scoop and Ferns. It's Scoop with Ferns.
Right.
Oh, well, you have to do it by yourself. You have to do all the rebranding.
Right.
All right, well, we're going to do that.
Friends?
Ha ha. Funny. God's like, ha ha ha, Ferns. But it's true. Yeah. And you know, we talked about it before, but like you right now, you said you have 14 episodes produced. You have 3 that you put out, 4th one dropping. Pre-production, how important is it to you? For anybody who's doing social media, who's trying to make something or start a TV talk show, podcast, what does pre-production mean for your show?
Yo, it means making everything easier after the fact. Pre-production. Yo.
This is why I don't sleep and I stress, because I haven't mastered pre-production yet.
Yo, when
I'm asking for my own advice, so.
Well, when you're the more prepared you are for something, the less nervous, the less insecure you're gonna be about it. Kobe Bryant once said, like, yo, whenever I was nervous before something, I realized that I wasn't prepared enough. Once I started preparing, hitting the gym, earlier than anybody else, once the nerves left.
Yeah.
Like once you're ready, you're ready to go. There's no room for that. You've worked that out.
Right.
So like, yeah, I prep. You know what I mean? Because I'm a procrastinator. That's one of my huge hurdles
same. Like 100%.
So, even if I start something like, it's steps, 10 minutes earlier than I intended to.
Right. Right.
Being punctual. That's a lesson I learned via modeling. You know what I mean? I don't want to hold up a production.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold up any production because first of all, I'm not just holding up one person. I'm holding up like 5 to 10 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who am I to do that?
Facts.
So I show up early. You know what I mean? And so that is the most important thing. Like you go in with a plan and be prepared because shit's gonna go weird. Shit's gonna go sideways.
Yeah.
And the less prepared you are with
no matter how much you plan it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. No, right. Exactly.
No matter how much.
Exactly.
Something will always be a little off.
Exactly.
Like, you can't.
But the more prepared
everything.
you are in general, the more prepared you'll be able you'll be to pivot.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
To recover.
Yep.
And you won't always recover. But as long as you can go to bed at night and know like, hey, I did my freaking best.
Hey.
Shit went sideways, but I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and it's a new day.
Hey.
I'm prepared.
Talk that shit.
And shit's going to go great.
Hey. And that's the mindset you have to keep no matter what goes wrong. Like,
have to.
Like people watching into our shows, it's like, I want to make sure that they know that, like, even though you see the end product, the end result of like, maybe this great episode that we put out and it's all this shit. You'll know the pre-production planning, the stress, the time management, all the stuff that went into it, the communication, trying to schedule guests and make sure that they're good and show up and like, you know what I mean? And sometimes shit happens. Sometimes people bail. Sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes I say the wrong episode number on the beginning of the episode like we did before we recorded this one. Like shit happens. Yeah. And then you just have to keep it rolling. Keep rolling with the punches. It is what it is.
That's right. You'll win.
Yeah.
You'll win. You keep rolling.
Facts.
I got to send you that meme of it's 2 guys mining for diamonds and one guy stops short. It's like this thing. He's like, yo, I'm done. He's like sitting down. He's like, I'm ready to go back. And you just see this other dude. He's behind him, but he's just like, going away. Like he's just chopping away. And you just know, just by looking at the picture, oh, he's going to hit them diamonds.
Right. And it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's right when you stop.
Yo,
that's it. As soon as you stop believing in yourself, as soon as you stop moving forward, as soon as you stop, like, that's it. You stop. Like nothing is going to continue without your motivation. If you're not manifesting that energy into the universe isn't going to talk back to you. And I learned that, like, when you get quiet, when you stop believing in yourself, and I've had people say to me, like, so funny, actually, like, self-reflectively, back in the day, I've had somebody tell me, like, yo, your light is dim. Like, your light seems dim to me. Like, you're not, like, your shine isn't coming out. You know what I mean? And like, it made me so fucking sad. And it took me so long to realize why I was so sad about it, is because it was the truth. I was depressed back then and I wasn't shining, even though I was like still being creative and still trying to do my stuff. My genuine passion and soul and like energy, my Jessie Ellie vibe, like it was not there. You know what I mean? And I recently had somebody hit me up who I haven't talked to, and it was a different person that had said this to me, and they were like, yo, I just want to let you know I've been seeing what you're doing. I've been seeing the moves you're making, and your light is shining so bright lately. And I was just like, yo, like that was a couple years ago. Somebody told me my light was dim. This is a couple years later. I did that self-reflection. I did that soul healing. I've been trying to face my traumas. It's still a process. Like you said, the process never ends, but it shows you guys when you are putting that genuine energy and like what you care about into something you believe in, like creating Scoop with Ferns or whatever, your light starts to come out even brighter. People can't deny it no more, and you can't deny it no more. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Oh, shit! This could work. Yeah. If
you
I don't
looking
give
real
up,
glowy over there, Ferns.
Yo, no, but shout out to those people who recognize that. Even the first person, like when you're down, for someone to say like, hey, you know, what's up? Yeah. That's a lot, right?
And I took it offensively. Do you know what I mean? And because like she was an older head than me and I looked up to her and all this stuff. But it's like that was, I needed that. I needed someone
more
to say.
than you knew.
Because in my mind, I was like, yo, I'm dim. Was I shining before and now I'm not? Like, and it made me question all this stuff about my internal energy and what that provides to the people around me and how it affects the people around me. You know, we're not just affecting ourselves. Like if tomorrow you stop doing Scoop with Ferns, there would be a whole ripple effect in the universe of energy that would be like disrupted. Like it would be sad. Do you feel me? Like it would create like a backtrack because like you are contributing something that people need. So I
just want to say to people out there who are struggling with like believing themselves and going through and finishing something, right? Because the support's not there or things are going right, and you know you're dealing with this issue and this sidetrack. One of the dopest lessons I ever learned is actually from a book, The Martian. I don't know if you read it or saw the movie with Matt Damon.
I've seen the movie. I haven't read the book.
Okay, I've done both. I've seen the movie as well.
I didn't even know there was a book actually.
Same lesson. Oh, it's incredible. As always, but I'm not even gonna get into that. You know, he's like teaching a lecture. He's doing a lecture afterwards. You know, about how he survived in a foreign environment by himself. He's left behind, and the odds just over and over and over again just seem stacked against them. How do you survive something like that? Because it's not just the elements that can kill you, it's your mindset. And he said, and I'll never forget this, you just solve one problem at a time.
Yo,
that's fire.
Because at any point in life, you have so much shit weighing out at you. As long as you just solve one problem at a time, you know what that is? That's a win.
Yo.
And you just keep piling up those wins and wins and wins and wins until you've made it to the mountaintop. That's it.
100%.
So keep solving problems.
Yes. That's what we love to fucking hear, yo. Because if you try to take all those problems and you ball them into one thing and you try to solve that all at once, there is no solution. That's the funniest part. Because you can literally only have a solution to each problem, like individually, guys. And then you can deal with the next, and then you can deal with the next. And then mentally, you'll still be on that same mindset, that same like journey. You know what I'm saying? So it's important. It's very important. And you know, you perfectly transitioned me into a question that I had to ask you. And it is one of the last questions I want to ask you for the podcast. Kind of, you know, guys, we've been talking motivational, real truth, real talk. Like Scoop with Ferns is such a dope show. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you fucking go check it out. If you haven't heard of it, you heard of it here today and you ain't gonna forget Scoop with Ferns. But you know, why I started this podcast was because of everything we talked about today. Struggling, trial and error, motivation, feeling different, feeling alone, not knowing how to get over it, not knowing how to get over myself, not knowing how to be myself, be who I am, find who I am, all the above, all the below, everything in between, all that shit. So, however you want to take this, whether it's about your show or you as a human in general, just the artistic soul that you are, what do you feel like it means to be an old soul in the young world? Even if you yourself aren't an old soul, like what does that concept mean to you?
Wow. Ow.
Woo! I just caught him off guard. I was going to tell you before the podcast, I was going to ask this, and I was like, you know what?
I
I'm a
appreciate
fucking
you now.
surprise.
I appreciate you now. Yeah, no, I appreciate you now.
Fire.
So first thing I want to say is I believe Miguel Okahe, the artist, is an old soul. And we actually talked about that on our podcast or our episode, or at least I brought it up. And for me, first and foremost, it comes with a responsibility. Because our elders are our sages. They've lived, obviously far longer lives than we have, and they have the wisdom that we lack as younger people, growing up. And a lot of times they try to imprint that wisdom upon us, but we thought we knew better, or at least I thought we knew better. So it's incumbent upon them to be diligent. Like if you're an old soul, you're more relatable to people around your age than the actual like old souls, who have that wisdom.
Yeah.
So it's your duty to use that wisdom and pass it along to your friends, who won't listen to their parents, who won't listen to their grandparents. You know what I mean?
Right.
To be that calm, you know what I mean? To be that anchor in a generation where, you're supposed to be wilding. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you have a responsibility to be a leader.
Yes.
There's a lot of followers out there. There's a lot of excuses to be young.
Yes.
You're only young once.
Right.
You know what I mean? You only
YOLO.
live once. YOLO.
YOLO.
You know what I mean?
Our generation is a whole YOLO fucking generation.
Exactly. So, what it means more than anything to be an old soul in a young world is to bring as many young people up to where you're at as possible.
Oh my God.
Period.
Oh my
Period. Because that's how you change the world.
Yo, that was such a fucking fire answer. It's so I don't even know what to say right now. I'm not even lying, yo. You just changed my perspective on what it means to be an old soul, because not once in the time have I been doing this podcast have I ever thought like, you know what? It is somebody who has an old soul has the responsibility in that obligation in a way of bringing up the people in their age bracket to that mentality if they don't have it, because sometimes they can't look to older people because it offends them. They can't ask older people because they don't feel like they know. But if somebody your age tells you some advice, you could take that on a whole nother level, a whole nother way. And I feel like we are two tools of an old soul young world. Even if you yourself don't consider yourself an old soul, you have this knowledge where it's like, yo, mentally I feel like I can connect with you. Like I feel like we didn't even have to talk this whole time on this pod. I feel like we could just stared at each other and like the viewers would have felt the vibes, like on some shit, like having somebody who understands what it means to have that struggle, to overcome it, and to spread something that other people aren't given. It's being a tool. You know what I'm saying? And you just made me reflect back to when I was younger. Like I used to say to myself, because I was weird. I thought I was so weird. Like before I started this, I'm like, why do I think so deep? Why do I feel so deep? Why do I write poetry? Why do I have to be so like...
Yo, never stop. Never stop. Yo, feeling like, that is the most human thing we can do.
Yes.
And people in society want to convince us that not feeling is natural. That is crazy. It's insane. And that kills more people every year than anything imaginable.
100%.
Anything.
Exactly.
Yo, I appreciate you. Keep feeling it. Yeah.
You know?
And sharing that.
Because we're bodies, but what drives this body to wake up every day besides your heart and your blood and your brain? When you die, what was in your body that whole time, in your physical shell of a vessel, when your soul... when you pass on, what passes on? It's a soul.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? What was put put inside of this temple
Right.
of Francois? What
Right.
if the soul that was put inside of you was transferred into my body and mine was transferred into yours? I think we would still have the same passions.
Yeah.
It would probably still be doing the same things. We
Yeah.
would just look a little bit different.
Yeah,
That's
right.
all that
I
it
believe
is.
that.
You feel me?
For sure.
So
100%.
it's that soul knowledge.
Yeah.
And you know, Ferns Francois, Scoop with Ferns, all the
Holla.
names under the sun, yo.
Holla.
I appreciate you so much. Like
appreciate
literally, your energy is unmatchable,
that.
immaculate.
Appreciate
You brought so much glow to the stage
Trying to
today.
put it out there, baby.
Again, would you mind just plugging yourself wherever people can watch, listen to,
Yeah, no, not at
find
all.
you,
Not at all,
everything?
not at all. Yeah, I appreciate it. If you come through, thank you so much. Know that from the bottom of my heart, it's appreciated. It's no small thing to me. At Scoop With Ferns on Instagram, the Scoop With Ferns on YouTube.
Yes.
Scoop With Ferns also on Twitter.
Hey.
And yeah, my personal Instagram is Ferns_Francois. Come holla at me. I talk a lot of shit, but my DMs are open.
Ooh.
And I don't bite
Hey.
all the time.
Maybe just a little. In 2022, you got big fucking things coming.
That's
so many
right.
episodes dropping.
We both do, right?
We both fucking do.
Yeah, I'm
And
ready. I'm ready.
You're going to be seeing Jesse Ellie on there too. So
Yeah,
make sure you tune in. But Ferns, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on.
Happy to be here.
Appreciate your energy.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your soul.
Yeah.
And everybody you know who tunes in every week, we appreciate your soul. We appreciate your dedication, your motivation. If you're tuning in right now, whatever time of day it is, whenever you're listening this or whenever you're viewing this, you're good enough. You're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. You're on the right journey. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Keep going.
Keep fucking going. And make sure you come back next week and tune in with me here on Old Soul in the Young World with your host, Jesse Ellie.